Hello, everyone. I Facebook, I Instagram. Just 1 minute. Instagram takes 1 minute to connect. So let me just press and see. But we can continue on Facebook as it is connecting. So welcome to another session on balance and harmony hour. Yes, we are also live on Instagram. That's great. Okay. Let me just check everywhere that everywhere is working well. Because sometimes you think you're live and Facebook, they play tricks on you. Yes, I'm on Facebook Live and I'm also on Instagram Live. That's great. So we start. So welcome to another session on balance and harmony. And today, like you see, I'm not alone. I have a very special guest, and she will be the. Her name is Lesi Sampson. Did I pronounce well? I hope I
Yeah,
pronounced that well.
listen. Yeah.
Lesi Sampson. So, listener living coach, and she helps women, especially women, take charge of their lives. She helps them to gain clarity. She helps them to um, lead their homes with purpose, turning their passions and their experiences into meaningful, impact driven ventures. And if you just really understand those words, she's giving power, she's empowering women to live their dreams in every area of their life, career, home, personal life. She's also a certified project management professional and a technical product manager with a background in civil and software engineering. Lesi is also the founder of Lit Lamps, where she supports parents in building family systems that make intentional living a lifestyle, not a goal. Even all what we'll be talking about today is not something you just achieve and you drop, it's a lifestyle. So today she'll be talking about resetting your focus, reducing your stress, how to find clarity and calm in a life that shifts. We all know that life happens, and immediately life happens, we all just start shaking. We are all over the place. Our brain shuts down. Our mouth maybe opens, and all our emotions are flying off. But we have here today an expert that would help us to find clarity, find calm when life happens. So me, I will go back and listen and learn how to do this. You have the floor. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Coach Ify. Thank you for having me. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. So, straight to the point, how to find clarity and calm when life shifts. Like she just mentioned, life would always shift. So, let's talk about the life shifts first. A shift is when you sense something going out of normalcy, like you just realize that your sense of normalcy has been disrupted. So all of a sudden you're like, what's going on here? And sometimes this can happen from the external, where you say, let's say something like relocation. Once you relocate, you realize that you don't get to do the things you used to do. Your routine is disrupted. It can even be something like, let's say you get married or you have a child. So all of these external things can cause you to sense a sense of to get a sense of life shift, right? Now this can also happen from the internal, where in your mind you just start feeling restless. You start feeling disconnected from who you've always been. You begin to ask yourself certain questions. Am I just existing, or I'm just here serving other people, or I'm just here filling up other people's schedules? I'm not driving my own life. What's going on? So sometimes it can come from any of the disruption in our lives can be either external or it can be internal. And all of this life shifts causes our priorities to change. But you know what? Most times, what we tend to do when there is a life shift is that we begin to ask ourselves, what are we supposed to do now? What are we supposed to do next? What's the next direction we are supposed to take? But in reality, we know that what we're actually feeling is a loss of sense of self. Like you're not able to hold yourself anymore. You're wondering, like, why am I here? What am I even doing now? So, in asking that question, you realize that we're actually asking the wrong question. When you go asking, what am I supposed to do next? You miss out on the main purpose of the shifting season. We agree that yes, we are feeling restless. We agree that yes, something is out of place. I've spoken to a number of women who probably just got into childbearing, right? And they're like, they don't understand what they are doing again. They don't even understand themselves. They can't go with the normal flow again. So the reality most times is that they sense a loss of self.
Mm.
So what are we supposed to be asking? It's not necessarily what should we do now. We actually should be asking, who am I now? Who am I beyond this shift? Because if you don't get hold of this, your sense of identity when life is shifting, you can't even have the necessary peace of mind to understand what's going on and even understand what you're supposed to be doing. I had an experience. Um, some time ago, I had some health crisis. Now, for me now, it was health. I had some health crisis. I spent like 3 months out of work. Returning to work, things didn't feel normal again. I felt like, like you know how work has continued without you. So that's how I felt. But then I'm not the kind of person that likes to be insignificant in a space. So that alone threw me off balance. Like in my head, I don't think I'm as relevant here as I was before. So what
Yeah.
am I supposed to be doing next? So I actually found myself asking the same question of what am I supposed to be doing? What did I do? I started buying courses. I registered for some professional courses, started taking courses, started learning, but the learning didn't solve the problem. I also attempted changing jobs, right? I applied for better jobs. I said, okay, maybe let me apply for jobs outside this vicinity. Let me see, maybe a better pay will solve it. I did all of that, but it did not quench that sense of restlessness that I felt. Then one of the courses I bought, it was actually a course on financial literacy. But in the course of going through that, I'm echoing. I don't know if I'm still clear.
No, you're very clear.
All right, great. In the course of taking that course, she was talking about things that you can monetize. So
Mm.
she said 5 things that you can monetize. You can monetize your personality, you can monetize your potentials, your passion. So she kept talking about digging deep and mining your diamonds. That
Mm.
was when like my eyes opened. I took that part, sat down with myself first, and started thinking about my life. What do I even have? What do I have in my hand? Who am I? What's my personality like? I went on, though I had taken the personality test before, I went back, took the personality test again. This time I read it like I was studying myself. I went back, read it again, I gave myself lots of assignment that season, wrote down my potentials, wrote down my passions, thought through all the experiences I had had, all the major experiences that I had that had actually caused a shift in my life. I thought through all of them and how I navigated through all of them. I did this spread on an Excel sheet, and I didn't end there. I went ahead having conversations with people like, what do you think about me? When you talk to me, what comes to mind? So I realized as I went on and on digging deep into who I really was, it gave me a sense of, okay, this is who I am, this is what I have. It
Mm.
actually now made me appreciate the season a lot more. That okay, this restlessness I felt, this shift in season, but not necessarily to break me, but to help me discover more about myself. Because there is a next phase. A transition is like a gate to a next phase. That's the truth. A shift is a gate to a next phase. So at that gate, there's a demand that is placed on you that if you don't meet up to that demand, you just disqualify yourself from the next phase. There is a next phase of assignment or there's a next phase of responsibility, but that shift is just for you to, in fact, I will call it evolve. It's for you to evolve so that you can embrace the next level or the next phase that is coming your way. So that was my experience that season. So today, let me come back again. We're going to be talking about how do we really get to gain clarity in a season that shifts, in life that continuously shifts. And like we all know, shift in life would always happen. They
Can I
always said,
ask a question? Sorry, can I ask a question from what you just said?
okay,
I think 2 years ago, I had a client that had the problem of she's a medical doctor and she now changed country, and she now had a child, so she could not work due to language barrier, due to a child. And in that moment, she felt irrelevant. Why do we feel, just like you said, you came back to work as if everything is going on without you? Why do we have that feeling? Why do we lose our identity? Why do we get into this place in the first place? Why can't we just pick up and just move, and continue to move without really feeling any of those feelings?
For me, I think it's two things. When we do something long enough, we
Hmm,
tend to get our relevance
from
in
it.
that thing that we are doing.
Okay.
We get all the accolades, we feel good doing it. So we tend to pack ourselves aside and just soak our identity in what we are doing. So when it's time for us to probably stop what we are doing, or there's a change in what we are doing, it seems like there's a shift. Like, okay, what am I supposed to do now? Since all my life, this is all I've been doing. So if you ask me, okay, who I am, I will tell you I'm a medical doctor. But what happens when you're no longer a medical doctor? So there's just this loss of identity. So that's one. Then number two is like what I was talking about. Sometimes when there is a shift and we lose ourselves, it's an indication that your current self cannot carry your next responsibility. So you're not finding your current self in your next responsibility. So what are you supposed to do? Go and in fact, it needs a different version of you. Your next role or your next responsibility or your next assignment actually requires a different version of you.
Hmm.
At that point, that shift is there for you to grow. That shift is there for you to expand your mind. That shift is there for you to equip yourself, like build strength, build stamina for the next version of you or for the next assignment that is ahead of you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That was great. Thank you.
All right. So I can go on, right?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. So, yes, coming back to the purpose of shift. So, I think the first thing we need to get clear in our head that those shifts are normal and they are not there to break us. In fact, if you ask me, they are not interruptions. They are actually necessary pauses to realign us. They are necessary pauses to cause us to go in a better direction. So there's really nothing wrong with having a break. There's nothing wrong with having a shift, or there's nothing wrong with having some kind of transition in our lives. Because if those transitions don't happen, we really would not pause to think.
Hmm.
But a lot of times, the mistake that we make is that we quickly get into another level of momentum. Like we think that we are going to regain ourselves by the more we are able to do. So we quickly get into another level of activity. We start to pursue the next thing. Like the normal question is, what do I need to do next? So you're looking for anything doable to do. But in doing that, you find out that it doesn't still solve the problem. So please, what I would advise, like practically now, once you find yourself in a shift, the first thing to do is to pause. The first thing to do really is to pause. It's not a time to even try to plan something else because you're not even in the right state at that point to be doing anything of planning. So the first thing to do is to pause and have the time, like develop the habit of reflecting within again. Because sometimes when life gets busy, we just go with the flow. This is where journaling becomes real. Like have time that you sit down and look at yourself, have conversations with yourself,
Mhm.
and take time to write. I'm an advocate of writing
Yes,
because
so
I've seen writing do wonders. I feel like writing is also a gate to the mind because when you write, it's different from when you're talking. When you're talking, it's what you had thought about that just keeps flowing. But when you're writing, you have the time to think and dig deeper, and then it's just pouring out and pouring out. Sometimes when you start out writing, it's like, what am I supposed to write? You don't really know what to write, but keep at it, keep at it. You just see that it just keeps flowing. It gives you the sense of awareness. So one thing I always advise, have a habit of journaling where you just sit and reflect on your childhood, reflect on your experiences, reflect on the things that shaped you, reflect on your passions, just reflect on all those things, reflect on the things that you're grateful for, so that you don't spend time overthinking and wallowing about the fact that things are no longer normal. Okay, so number one thing I would advise is for you to pause. It's not a time to planning anything, search within, discover, really discover your diamonds. Another thing that I would advise is that you need to also talk to someone, because the truth is that there are diamonds that you have that you don't even realize that you have. Like you have so commonized it and gotten used to it that you don't know that maybe it is this diamond that is relevant in this season. Because if you try to do what you were doing in the previous season, you will keep struggling, because that's like pouring an old wine into a new wine skin. So you really want to discover something new about yourself, and discover something more really about yourself. There might be a part of you that needs to unleash in this new season. Because really, I like to do this illustration. Really, we are like a tree. We are like a planted tree that has different branches, and those different branches are relevant in different seasons. Maybe you had just branched out in an area and you have gotten so used to that area that in your mind you think that's all there is to you, but really there is more to you. Maybe this season there's another branch that needs to come out, not the previous branch anymore. But then one thing remains constant, is who you are at your core, like the stem of that tree. So if you don't take time to understand who you are at your core, when there is a need to rebranch, when there's a need to lose your branch, let me use that word, there's a need to lose the previous branch so that you can branch to another level, you begin to complain. You feel like life is against you. And what I like to tell people is that, see, all things don't work for you, or things don't work against you. Things don't happen to you. Things happen for you. Like if you have understanding that things happen for you, you realize that even when the reason for the shift is positive or the reason for the shift is negative, you just know that whatever it is happening now, it's actually for me. There are people that have found purpose in pain.
Yes.
There are people that have found purpose in uncomfortable situations. And really, there's the kind of juice that needs to come out in certain seasons. If some squeezing and some discomfort doesn't happen, it won't come out. But when you go getting angry about the season, getting upset, getting depressed about the season, how then will the juice come out? And that's where you see that a lot of people go through things, but they don't really grow through things. Because those shifts are supposed to cause us to grow. What are you going to tell somebody when you come out on the other side, or when you finish that season? Let's say you now find somebody else in that season. All you can say is, it was tough. Oh. No, now, if we actually grew through our seasons of uncertainties, grew through our seasons of shifts, in fact, that's actually what makes us leaders. Because you now know what to tell somebody coming behind you. This is what you should do. These are the mistakes I made. Don't make these mistakes. Take this route. Take this route. So seasons of uncertainties should actually make us to grow. So I've talked about pausing. I've talked about having a habit of journaling. Then, of course, I've also talked about digging deep, looking within. Talk to a coach. And that's why we have coaches like Coach Ify and all, right? Talk to a coach, because there are parts of you you will never see. Can I even shock you that even coaches need to talk to other coaches?
Yeah, so
it's just amazing that you're helping people find clarity, but then when it comes to you, you really need to talk to somebody else.
That's it.
Because that's just, we are built for interdependency. So don't think that you can figure out life all by yourself. In fact, why do you even want to waste that time? So get somebody who can help you unpack yourself, unpack your potential, tell you that I know that you're good at this. Look at it now. Are you not seeing the trajectory? You have actually been good at this for a while. When you talk to people like that, your eyes open. Then another very important part, in fact, for me, I have it even here all around me. I have a copy in my phone. Is affirmations. When you're beginning to come to terms with who you are, you want to keep telling yourself that this is who you are. So write identity-based affirmations, because it's those identity that will help you through every season. Write affirmations. In fact, for me, I have written, so I write them, I speak them, and I listen to them. So I have a recorded version on my phone. There are days that I listen. Yes. And I ended it with listening. This is who you are. Yes.
That's
See,
nice.
I don't take these things for granted, because there's something about habits. When you do something, and you've gotten used to it, in your mind it's no longer relevant. But by the time you stop it, just give yourself a while, some time. You will see the detrimental effect of stopping that habit. So no matter how good you feel about yourself, please don't stop saying your affirmations. Don't stop writing it. Don't stop hearing it, because you don't know how much it is doing to you till you stop doing it for a while. And you don't want to see the other side when you stop doing it for a while. So as you come to terms with your identity, you want to keep re-echoing that identity to yourself. You want to keep telling yourself this is who you are. By the time you do that long enough, you'll be able to find yourself and find your place in that uncertain season, in quotes. Like I always tell myself, I say, listen, you're a practical person. So no matter where they throw you, that practicality must come out.
Hmm.
Whether at home as a mom, whether I'm not doing any 9 to 5 job, that practicality will come out in my house. Whether I'm doing a 9 to 5, you will see that practicality. Whether I'm selling or I'm doing a business, it must show. So when you know yourself that much, you will see yourself in that season. You will see you will now be happy to express yourself in that season. If you're a diligent person, no matter where you are, that diligence would show. So those are the kind of traits. And even when I talk to parents, because I've worked with adults and I can see a lot of flaws that could have been corrected from childhood. So when I talk to parents and you really want to hype your child, I know children have dreams. Somebody will come, like my daughter will say she wants to be a medical doctor, she wants to be a chef. So of course, once in a while we'll hype her with doctor and all. But don't do it too much. You want to be more focused on hyping them and reinforcing the idea that it's not based on roles.
Hmm.
Because what happens when she begins to feel like she's called to be a medical doctor and then medical doctor is not coming? What happens? Or what happens when there's a season where like she has built so much expectation into being a doctor, owning her hospital, and then it's really not coming? She'll begin to feel that she's failing her parents, she's failing her dreams. So
No, sorry.
okay.
Can I say something here? Let me just say two things about a medical doctor. My second daughter, she is studying medicine, and I
Okay.
know how difficult it is. Even I used to tell her, say, the day you go and collect your certificate, I'll be there with you.
Oh,
And sometimes when she's struggling, I tell her, I say, listen, do you know you can always go back and check if this is what you are going to do? It's difficult for me to have said, but I knew the place. She now said to me, I said, do you know you can always say, it's okay, I'm coming back home. She'll say, Mommy, why do you say that? It's sometimes discouraging. I say, no, don't sit at discouraging. Know that you're going to just give only what you have to do is give your best. After that, nothing. Because we put this pressure, like you said, I will put this pressure on them and they feel I don't want to disappoint mommy, I don't want to disappoint daddy, and they are dying in silence. So that is a very, very important thing that parents should know. Then, secondly, you said something this week. I always have a balanced quote or a balanced phrase, and this week on is "I am enough." I am enough. And sometimes some people will challenge me, what do I mean that I'm enough? No human being is enough. I say it depends on how you see yourself. I said I'm enough, and if I have thoughts or feelings that makes me feel incomplete, I question them also. I said, okay, why do I feel incomplete? Because I cannot draw, because I cannot dance. If I can do something about it, I do. I take a class. I do something. If I cannot do anything about it, I keep it aside. I am enough the way I am. And this gives me confidence in the strengths that I have. And like I said, if I can control or change or do something, I take action and do those things. So people really need to know that they are enough, that, like you said, they know yourself, know your strengths. It will help you when the branches are shaking, your roots are really strong. So I wanted to just confirm what you said. That is a very strong thing that,
yes.
especially women, they go through that a lot. Yeah.
Yes, very true. Especially women, because our seasons change so fast, and we don't look like where we are coming from whenever it changes. So
Absolutely.
there's just this tendency of this is not me.
Mm.
Like I'm not like I can't do the things I used to do. And when they come like that, I'm like, yes, you definitely cannot do the things that you used to do, and it's okay. Or would you rather go back to your previous season? You're in a new season. It's just like we have rainy season and we have dry season.
Mm.
Now, for the fact that we had maybe a long time in the rainy season, and now this is the dry season, sorry, a long time in the dry season, and now we're in a rainy season. Just having an understanding that this is a season of rain informs your actions. If you used to wear, maybe because the dry season was hot, you used to wear things that would let you, feel cool. At this point, everywhere is cold. So what are you supposed to do? Is it something that you're supposed to be fighting with that no, I must keep wearing things that would, like, that fight is not necessary. Every change in season requires a new set of actions. The longer you stay fighting to go back or fighting to do the things you used to do in your previous season, you're just going to keep feeling burned out. You're just going to stress yourself. So first thing is to accept your season. Very important. Accept that change is normal. In fact, live life expecting changes. You're better off that way.
Yeah.
Change is normal. So whenever we see something that's causing a drastic change, it's a matter of taking a look at it. Why is this thing happening? What's the purpose for this shift? Because every shift has a purpose. Every change in normalcy has a purpose. Let me give another instance. Let's say you see newlywed couples. They get married, or maybe before they got married, everything was rosy. They had all the beautiful expectations, and then they get married and start experiencing this early marriage challenges because they are both coming from two different backgrounds. So those conflicts are bound to happen. But then, if you understand the purpose of the conflict, it's not something that should get you overwhelmed and feel like, oh, this marriage can't work. No. If you understand that this thing is only for us to help us understand ourselves better and even make me a better person. These things are only happening to reveal a part of me that would not allow me live joyfully with my spouse. So what do I do? What are the things I need to unlearn? What are the things I need to learn? What are the things I need to do differently? What are the things I need to start? When you truly do that, you realize that in that season, you begin to grow. And when you grow, you're not able to truly grow out of the issues that you were having. But if you don't take time to pause and think, to learn, to unlearn, to take new turns, you would not grow. You will stay fighting for a long time. So every season is supposed to cause us to look within, because there is actually more responsibility ahead. But if we don't look within and expand our capacity within, okay, like even see now, why am I on a call with Coach Ify? What could have brought me here if there was no change in season in my life? Absolutely. In fact, for me, I was telling my daughter the other day that Instagram for me was like using my left hand to write. I just had no business with Instagram. I tell myself, social media, no, it's not my thing. Videos, no, it's not my thing. Even when we started Lip Lambs, I told our social media manager then that I wasn't going to do videos. So find some random videos and post, find text and post, and just post our resources. But as time went on, I realized that I had, like, when I found my diamond, I said, no, this is too precious to keep within me. I must speak out. The world needs to hear this. How would they hear if I don't speak?
That's it. That's it. It's so funny what you are saying. In my family, I was the most private person. You don't post. Who are you to go and post my picture? You don't post my picture. So my sisters will tell me anytime we open anywhere, you are there. You are there. We cannot even post your picture on your birthday, but you are everywhere. Like you said, just seasons of life. Me that I could not talk. I was a stammerer. I could not. Well, I could not post my picture. Now I'm talking, making videos 10 times in a day. Like that's the truth. When there's something in you that want to burst out because you have dug deep and you found it. Really. And even though when changes come, like you said, you are ready to grow with it. When changes come, you're ready to grow with it. You are open already, you are expectant, you are prepared to an extent also to grow with it because of your mindset. It's so funny how one experiences that. So good to hear.
Yes. That's absolutely true. You're now more willing to accept it. You're more willing to grow. And I watched one of your videos where you said we were talking about when people ask you how come that you're able to stay consistent, and that your response is that you're not result oriented. which is true. Like when you have found something that you have fallen in love with, you're not you're not you love what you're doing already.
That's
Right? So
it.
you're not outcome driven. What makes us outcome driven most of the times is when we are not sure of what we are doing. We are just trying to do things for accolades. So you're quick to want to have people to see that you're doing great so that you get the accolades. You're still
Exactly.
seeking validation from people.
That's
That's
it.
to tell you that you have not really dug deep. When you have dug deep and gotten that sense of alignment, you're not
Mm.
seeking validation. You're so sure of your path. You've seen how necessary the path that you're taking is. And every single day that you make progress, in fact, what you're calling progress might not be progress to the world, but you're progressing.
For you.
And that's why I'm coming back to journaling again. Like you're able to record your little steps and you're happy about it. You record your little wins and you're just happy about it. Because, even when it has to do with thinking in systems, there are always little different parts of activities that sum up to the product or to the outcomes that people see. When they see that outcome is when they give you accolades. But there are other little things that you had been doing with all love all the
That's
while.
that's
And the
it.
truth is that if you don't love those little things that you're doing, it's impossible to be consistent. You can't be consistent.
That's it.
What will keep you consistent is when you're doing it out of understanding and out of passion. You know that this is what you should be doing now. You have looked within, you have looked at the season, you have seen that this is what the season is bringing your way. And you're not like the last thing we want to do is to compare our season with the season of our neighbors or our friends or our family members.
Mm.
Like your seasons are not the same. Even
No.
if it seems like you're in the same season, like okay, we just all got a job at the same time, so it's like the same season. It's not exactly the same because the realities that the person is going through is not your exact same reality. So it's very different. So when we do things, and especially now that it's everything is social media, everything is branding, you're now quick to paint a picture of you that doesn't exist yet. So it's more important that you step back and pay the price to grow.
Mm.
Price to grow. So that even when you come out, you will come out as authentic. I'm
Yeah.
a preacher of being authentic, seriously. You will come out as authentic. Why are you trying to make us believe what is not real? You will get tired soon.
That's true. That's
So
true.
you come out as authentic. If you need to read books, you read books. If there are things you don't understand, that's also a pointer that in this season you don't have understanding of number one, number two, number three. So go and learn about it.
Yes.
Get a coach, pay for courses. I made a video one time that was it last year. I learned a very, very important lesson to pay for knowledge.
Mm. Yeah, so.
Like that's your saving grace in certain seasons. Just pay somebody who has gone that path and save yourself the back and forth because that back and forth is equal to stress. It's another reason for stress when you're trying to figure out things on your own. At some point, it's like you're getting it. Later, it's like, oh, it's not exactly it. And if you're not careful, you can just throw in the trowel at that point. So why the back and forth? Spend the money and save your time. Spend the money and save your energy. So it's important that knowledge is important. Knowledge is important. I always like to say this also to keep your mind sane. Find yourself in communities that help build your mind. Find yourself amongst people that are forward thinking. And also get to read books or listen to people that help keep your mind in the right state. I always recommend mind building books because we cannot underestimate the power of the things that we think about.
That's true.
How you think about your season, how you think about yourself, how you think about what's going on, how you even think about the back and forth for times where you're trying to find clarity, that you're testing out things, how you think about the back and forth matters. There are times I've done things that didn't work and I paid to do them. I spent money doing them. I just tell myself, Lacey, that's your school fees that you paid. You've learned what not to do, and you had to pay to learn what you shouldn't do next time, which is okay. How would I have known that I shouldn't do this next time if that didn't happen? So the way that you perceive things, the way that you approach things, because you see in that season when life shifts, a lot of times we try out things, which is okay. It's okay to try out things. Because I've realized also that clarity begins to come when you when you make
Take
moves.
action. Yeah.
After you have searched within, you have gotten some things, right? You have searched within, you have realized some things, you start to execute. But guess what? Not like you're totally clear before executing, but you at least you have some level of direction. When you execute to a point, you now realize that okay, I shouldn't have gone this way, I shouldn't have done it this way, this is where I should go. At that point, what will make you still come back and go like more like come back, realign yourself, do a reverse and go in the right direction is the state of your mind. So
Hmm.
it's important that you're in the right frame of mind at every point in time. For me, communities help big time. There are communities that left for me, I don't plan to leave because I know what's keeping my mind in order.
Exactly.
Yes,
Exactly.
I know what's doing to keeping my mind in order. I might not be doing a lot of things with them, but for the sake that when I come here, when I listen or interact with what's going on here, I get a fresh perspective of what I'm supposed to do. Then I love to be there. So that's for me. That's what works. That's what works for me to help me always refocus myself and get clearer by the day because we never get 100% clarity. If you ask me, things always get clearer. Things always get better, and that's the beauty of life. You think that you've gotten something, you're doing it so well, but the more you do it, the better you get to do it. The more you learn, the more you improve things get better. So yes. So that's really how I think about this topic.
Let me ask you something. In when we are in this shift, when we are in this challenge, whatever we choose to call it, or this change,
Yeah.
there are so many things speaking to us. We ourselves, you talked about outside influence, talk about inside influence, and sometimes there are distractions, and there are so many opinions, so many um what do you call it, so many options to choose. How do I know what to silence, and how do I know what to focus on to move me forward? How am I able to get this practically get this clarity and know, okay, there are so many things that are there, but this one no, this one yes, I move forward with this. What one or two tips can you give in doing that to reduce the distractions?
Okay, that's a very, very important question because especially when you start to search within, you start to see different things that I can do. Oh, I can actually do this. I can do this. I can go in this direction. So how do you know what to do at that point? Because what's most important is that you're aligned. If you're not aligned and you still go and do something that you're not supposed to do in that season, there's also going to be a problem. You will also get stuck at some point. So I'm going to speak as a person of faith personally. I resort to prayers. I don't want to take any step without praying about it, getting confirmation in my heart, having peace. Even when I go to see a coach, I start by praying that let God reveal enough to that coach that I will get the clarity that I need.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't downplay the place of humans as well because I have gotten clarity in speaking with people, just in talking. And sometimes it's not even what they are saying that I hear at the end of the day. I'm hearing something different from what they're talking about, but then it moves me in the right direction.
Oh, I get this. Sorry to cut. I get this a lot. You read a talk, you read a book, but you take something not from that book, but that talk, that book you are reading triggered something else from it. I get that so often. I say, oh my God, it's not what they are saying, but something that they said triggered something else in me.
Yeah.
You're very right. You're very right. I experience that a lot.
And it happens a lot. It happens a lot. And sometimes if somebody said something that triggered something, and then you go back and tell the person you said this and it cost me, the person doesn't even understand how it relates. Like,
Exactly.
how does it relate? But it happens. It has happened to me a lot. It has happened to me a lot. So that's why I always move around with my writing materials. because something I can just see something, someone can just make a comment and it communicates something to me. And if I don't write it down at that point, I'm likely not even going to remember.
That's
So
it.
I always go around with my writing material. If I'm not with a book and a pen, in fact, why am I with a bag if there's no book and pen inside? If I'm not with a book and a pen, then definitely my notepad on my phone is enough to write. So I always have where I just throw insights, things that minister to me, things that become clearer to me. So we have to live expectant. When you live with this level of expectancy. Now, there's one illustration I shared with somebody. I said, imagine that you're having just a chat with someone, and the person is like, hold on, brings out his book and pen and starts to write. Now, what does that communicate to you? It communicates to you that you have just said something, or the person values what you have just said. Now, imagine something is coming to your spirit, or God is speaking to you about something, and you don't take the pain or the patience to write it down. You're just saying you really don't value what you said. How do you trust your memory to keep such things? So I would always advise, especially when you're in a season of transition, where some shifts are happening, anything can communicate to you. So be expectant. Always be ready to put things down. Now, whatever you're writing might not mean that you should go and execute it right away. But in the next 1, 2, 3 weeks, or even months, when you refer to it, it just clicks another button again. Like, oh, yes, I should go in this direction. Or it just confirms what's happening. Because sometimes we create patterns as we live without realizing it. But then, if you were writing certain things down, when you get to a point and you refer to the things that you've written, it would just make sense that you're in the right direction. Because you don't even realize when you're creating those patterns. And people don't believe in the vision that let's say at this point you want to start a new business. In your mind is a new business. So you're trying to let people buy into that idea, or you want to start something new. Like I like to tell people don't believe in your dreams. People don't believe in whatever you're trying to say, and it's not their fault. Even me, if you're telling me your dream, I don't exactly believe. What I can only encourage you to keep dreaming or do something about it. What people believe in are the patterns you have created over time. So sometimes we create patterns without realizing we are creating patterns. So it's difficult to communicate that new venture that we are trying to bring out. If you look back, really, you realize that thing you're trying to do now is not entirely new. There are things that you had done previously that very well fit into what you're trying to do now. So it's not entirely new. But because you have not sat down, or you were not taking notes, or you have not spoken to somebody, or you have not reflected, you're not seeing the connection with the past, from the past to where you are now. So it's difficult to communicate your dreams. It's difficult to push forward. But when you realize that this pattern is actually what I've created, let me share something very interesting. you know, the first product we did at Lit Labs was the Who I Am cards. That's children's, like affirmation cards for children, helping them realize their identity. And these cards, I think it was 2021 was when we did those cards. So that's all that we have been pushing for a while. So when I got into all this whole transition, I said, okay, I started realizing certain things. So when it came to mind that, okay, intentional living is a big deal, I gathered a few ladies and started the whole coaching program. Started talking to them about intentional living, and we went through all the identity. Even hear me talk. There's nothing you ask me that I don't point back to identity. But do you know, I didn't realize that it was for the same reason our first resource was who I am. I did not connect the who I am to what I'm doing today. It was later it dawned on me. I was like, no wonder the first thing I thought to do was who I am cards. Why?
That is it.
Like I was like, really? Like I said, when it connected, I was like, and I wasn't thinking anything, identity or intention. I wasn't thinking anything in that direction at 2021. But you see that looking back, you will see the evidence that I didn't just emerge from the moon. It's something that had been subconsciously burning in my heart for people to really know who they are, because it is from that point you approach life effectively.
Wow. Wow. I will ask you two questions, but before I ask you two questions, I want to say two things. One, about what you said, you being in the part already without even you knowing it. Me coming into stress management and balance, I was just coaching life. There's some things that will come to my mind. I'll talk about it just hobby, like as an hobby. So when I now consulted a business consultant, and he went through all my pages. He was listening to some of my stories that I said. He now said, "Listen, you talk about stress without knowing it. You talk about balance without knowing it." Then I said, me stress? Why? I now went back. I now read the first stress book I read was about, they now listed the in stress you have a point for each kind of stress. So in that year, 2021 was that year, I had the five highest top stress factors I experienced that year. I lost a very loved one. I got separated. I moved home. I moved city. I changed jobs almost at the same time. And I was continuing life. And I had to ask myself, what helped me? There was the God factor. There was the letting go of everybody, forgiving everybody before they started. There was the me pursuing my passion. And if somebody always asks me, what is the greatest stress reducer? I say, find your purpose, find your passion. That is the greatest, because you'll be doing it without knowing it. So that's the
And you
truth.
can work for hours
Yeah,
without realizing.
knowing it. So you are right in that. Then what I also wanted to say is that we talked about this distraction, and last month I had two high performing individuals, two clients that came to me, and their problem was too many ideas. They were being drawn in different places. And one thing I always recommend is that every single thing that comes to your head, write them down. You must not remember everything. You are one of them was into Facebook management. It trains people and things like that. I said, when those ideas come, just be writing them down. Don't put them in your head. If they're in your head is too much, write them down, putting them down, do mind mapping, sit down and write every single thing. Then your head is clear. That's number one. Then you can go back to the paper. Either you do the passion test or you speak to somebody to find out exactly which one you should do. And like you said, to see how they even align. It can be that there's a line going through all of them, then you'll be able to do that. So that will give you clarity in your head. You understand? Stop putting everything in your head. Have a journal, have a notebook on your phone or something and write things down. Your head is not supposed to carry all those things. Your head is not supposed to carry all those things. So my question, the first question to you is this: what is the role of routines in staying focused, in being clear? What are the role of routines? And the second one, let me just say it so you can answer. Can you give us one or two identity affirmations that we might be able to apply in our lives? So those two questions are for you.
All right, thank you so much. So the role of routines. Now, you just said something about writing things down so that you free your brain. So what routines help us do is that it frees our brain from trying to make decisions at every point in time. Because what happens is that if you have trained yourself that when I wake up, I do A, I do B, I do C, I do D, then I do E and all. When you do it over time, your brain gets into a state of auto. So it's not trying to make that decision anymore. You have freed your brain capacity for something better or something else or something more. So those routines just help you do the right things, yes, but then you're not stressed with decision making. If in the morning your brain already knows that these are the things that must happen, you're not trying to decide whether they should happen. You just flow into those activities freely. And while you're flowing into those activities, your brain capacity is heightened for you to be thinking about something else. But if you're in a state where in the morning you're still trying to decide what should I do, what should I not do, at that point your brain is trying to decide. You're not thinking creatively. So routines have great productivity power on our brains. When we allow our brains help us to develop routines, we free it space. Some people still think about what shall we eat. Like that's what you're plugging your brain with. Which time would you now have to think to start creating or being innovative? When what shall we eat is already it's still a problem. What will I wear today is still a problem. So getting yourself into necessary routines just helps your brain flow seamlessly through those activities, and especially when those activities are productive, you also just reap the consistent benefits of those activities because your brain is no longer stressing. Like you have a routine of reading at a particular time, your brain is no longer stressing to decide whether you should read or not. You just go reading, and excuse me, reading every day has its own benefits.
Yes.
Exercising every day has its own benefits. Having a routine to drink water first thing in the morning every day has its own benefits. So see you doing all these beautiful things without even having to think about it or to decide about it. So yes, that's one beautiful, two beautiful benefits of having routines. Routines are very, very important. Then the second question is, what are identity-based affirmations? Oh, I have a lot of them in my head. I have a lot of them in my head. So yes, one thing you want to tell yourself, which one of them now? Um, I am made for such a time as this.
Wow.
Yes, I always tell myself that. I am made for such a time as this. I'm worthy of being seen. I'm worthy of being heard.
Hmm. I'm worthy of being seen. I'm worthy of being heard. Thank you so much. That is great. So, guys, if you need more identity-based affirmation, you know where to go. I'm going to put our Instagram link on the comment section of the video. So please, you follow her, especially if you're a woman, because she serves women and parents. So you go and meet her to get more of that if you want to live intentionally. Sometimes we are all just going through life, we're just surviving. We are not thriving. We are made for more. We are
Yeah.
made for more. So please connect with her and meet her. Man, this sorry, imagine I say man. This session was powerful. This
Thank you.
session, I'm blessed. Thank you so much. So I'm already inviting you for a follow-up because there's so many things left unsaid. There are so many things left unsaid, really. But one can see your passion, one can see your experience, one can see how invested you are in what you do. So thank you so, 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 so much. So
Thank
we
you.
have to fix another date for a follow up on this. I'll really, really appreciate it. So, what would you like to say to our people as they go along their lives, being focused, being clear, and reducing stress?
All right. So before I talk to the people, let me say thank you to you. Thank you to you for having me. I really appreciate. I love this conversation. I love topics like this. Thank you for trusting me as well, for getting me on your podcast. All right. So to the people, what do I say to the people now? You're not losing yourself. Yes, you're not losing yourself. What you're going through is not out of place. It's supposed to bring out the best in you. So you're left with one option, and that option is to evolve, discover you, rediscover you. Don't get used to yourself. There is more within you that you have no idea about. So do a rediscovery of yourself, and you'll be shocked the beautiful things that you discover that will be relevant to you in this season. So yeah.
That is very, very beautiful. Thank you so much. So before we go, my next live is next week.
Okay.
Um, Normally it comes up by 3 p.m. Nigerian time, 4 p.m. German time. But because my guest is a mom and she'll be busy at that time, we'll be coming live by 5 p.m. Um, Nigerian time next week, Tuesday. And we're talking about the science of stress, the hormones and how it happens that we'll be talking about. She's a doctor, she's a medical doctor, and also a stress management consultant. So please tune in for that. Then, if you are watching me, you're an African or you're an individual living outside your home country, and I understand the stress you are going through. I create, because me myself now, I am in that position, and I created a webinar called Stress silent and showing up. You're just laughing. They will call you. We need money, but you are trying to still breathe. You are trying to still breathe. And we talked about identity. Many of us coming to this country, coming to different countries, depends on the country where you are, you will lose your identity. You can imagine coming to, I'm in Germany, I came to this country, new language, different language, your certificate is nothing. Where do you stand for? You just lose yourself, you lose your identity, you have low self-esteem and things like that. So those are part of the things we'll be talking about at that webinar taking place on the 28th of June online, 15 euros. So if you want to be part of it, I'll also leave the link. Please join. I wish you all a lovely evening. Thank you, Lizzie Nockmal. Sorry. Thank you, Lizzie, once again, if I speak what I'm supposed to speak. Thank you so much. God bless you all. See you.
Thank you. All right. Bye.
Bye. Let me stop on Instagram first. Then. Okay.